I'm the problem. It's me. All right. Welcome back. Here we go. It is another week of Chiropractic is Sexy. I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin.
I'm Dr. Erica Peabody. We're always happy to be here. Is it sunshiny where you are listening from? That's our first question. It's beautiful
Please.
here. And
Is it?
we were
getting there.
just dealing with technology. So if we disappear,
Yeah.
we'll just call it the end of the show.
Yeah,
That
I have a
happens.
half a battery. So we are going to go fast and furious. And it's sucking down fast. So I'm
Is
gonna
it?
try and see if I can pull up on my I don't know what the deal is. Ken, try to send it again. I don't know what the deal. It's almost like it's not.
We'll just go. We'll just
Okay,
do
let's just
20
go.
minutes.
Okay, all right, listen. We needed to have this conversation with you guys. Here's why. Because Dr. Erica and I see this. I see it on social media all the time. We hear it in our offices or like out and about in communities, and people will say, I can't afford to go to the chiropractor, or I can't afford to be healthy. It's too expensive to eat healthy. It's too expensive to do this. I can't join a gym. There's all these excuses that people have when they say, I can't afford to be healthy. So we decided we needed to have a real conversation with you guys. And you might not be able to go to the chiropractor, but we're going to lay out many things you can be doing that require zero money or maybe a tiny bit, because it's like that's enough. Like, no more excuses. If you need to get healthy, there are things you can be doing on your own that will help start to move the needle. So let's go.
We did a coffee talk this morning here at the office again, and we were talking about this exact topic. I'm kind of trying to keep them real similar, but people will come into us and they'll say it is a matter of priorities. Yes, silly Lily, but also it's a matter of people don't actually realize how easy some of this stuff is, and that it's free. I was chatting, my sister-in-law, she's a nurse here at the building, and she does wellness nurse, if you could call it that. She does like the infusions, injections, vitamins, hydration, stuff like that. But she also does home care. And we were talking about, is water actually free? But it's very, very inexpensive to get high quality water. And we're so lucky. We are so lucky to be able to have fresh water. So that was one of the things that, and then I don't know if I really want to call that one free, but basically, I mean, you could drink your tap water is better than more water. Most of the water across the world is safer and better. But, if you spend a little bit for a filtered system or just filtered water, that is I would say, it ties with top for the other free thing, which is sleep. So I would say that it ties with that as like the top priority of nothing, of something that costs nothing, that increases and boosts health so much. So,
well, I agree with you. Also, real quick, Ken, I did log on with my phone. That second link helped. If I need to suddenly, if this computer dies, then I'll add myself to the stage.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
So let's touch on water, because I think that's a great place for us to start. And what we get when it comes to water is a massive amount of confusion around water. Okay, we would prefer you don't drink bottled water. However, if you are going into the gas station and you're going to choose between a soda and a bottle of water, please pick the bottle of water. And that's where, so what often happens is, because of the confusion, people will then say, well, why should I drink water? I mean, I'm just going to have the pop because I don't even know. I'm not supposed to drink bottled water, when they still know that the soda is just that much worse. Mm-hmm. So all of these, there's so many influencers. Listen, we are influencers. We're the right influencers to be listening to.
There you go. I love it.
But there's so many influencers out there who are just creating so much confusion for people. So drink the water. If you have to have a choice, if you are somebody, you're like, I don't know what to do, and I need to get my health on track, drink the tap water. Stop buying cases of soda. Drink that. And we could have conversations all day long why tap water isn't great or why bottled water isn't great. But if that's your only choice and it's not a soda or it's not a Monster drink or something like that, it's a better choice. And that's really what it comes down to, is helping you make better choices so that then you start to feel better. And maybe, I don't know, maybe somehow your health is affecting your ability to work. And maybe now you can function better and you can think more clearly and you can be more productive, and it lends you a raise or it lends you a promotion. This is really what it comes down to. If you don't feel well, nothing in your life is going to flow the way you want it to.
Right. We were actually talking about that, because so my office is inside of my wellness center, and there's upstairs there's mental health therapists, and so I think about these people that are passing by our office and they go upstairs to mental health. And the difference, if we just think about this, if we are super dehydrated and we go in to see a therapist, it's going to be a very different mental experience, emotional experience, than if we grabbed a bottle of water on the way in. And I'm only using this as an example. And I think about it as getting adjusted too before you went into the therapist, like how expansive that would feel. But everybody that's listening here would know that if you had a bottle of water before you went in for anything going on, your brain's going to be clearer. Your brain is going to be functioning better. It's going to be ticking along better. Your muscles are going to be hydrated. Your digestive system is going to feel better no matter what. And then people will say, this is their next argument. Well, I heard that having too much water can be really dangerous.
Right.
So, okay. There is something called hyponatremia, which basically means your electrolytes and your sodium in particular get diluted. There's too much water in the system that it gets diluted. We are in the United States of America. We are also in a sedentary state of Michigan for the most part. We're not in a super healthy place anyway. The probability of having that happen, you getting too much water, is like, it's so a non-thing. So it's not ignorant to bring it up, but I'm serious, you guys, like inside of our communities of like the way that we are, the way we're living, the fact that we're Americans, we live very privileged lives, for the most part, getting too much water is never the problem. You're
already dehydrated.
It's always dehydration. Always.
And again, that's a confusing point. People are like, well, I'm not going to drink more water because I might die because I drank too much water. When you haven't been drinking enough water to begin with, and your cells cannot function without water. So yes, I remember we have a good friend of ours who's a chiropractor, and she and I were in Texas together, and we were traveling back on the same plane back to Detroit, and we were in the airport and I was drinking the water from the airport. It didn't taste great, I'm just saying. But she said to me, now this is a chiropractor, and she said to me, aren't you afraid? But also knowing more then makes you even more hyper vigilant about things. And she said, aren't you afraid to drink the water? And I said, no. And she goes, oh, I don't drink water when I'm away because I don't know where it's coming from. Like, she literally dehydrates herself when she travels, and she travels a lot. And I said, I just want water, and this is my only choice. And here goes my battery. So
it's a thing. And I always share with my patients. So these two analogies I use all the time. So let's just say you were out in the forest and you got lost and you ended up out there beyond your water carrying capacities. Like you didn't have enough with you. Are you good? Oh, there we go. She's coming in hot. I just make sure that I can't hear you. So something happened with the audio. So anyway, I use these two analogies. One is you're out in the forest, you're beyond your water capacity. You've been out for 2 more hours. Maybe you're out for another half a day or something. and you were in desperate need. You were in desperate need. Yeah, we can hear you. You were in desperate need of water. And you had two options. You had a flowing stream that's flowing by you, or you had a puddle of water. And those were your two choices to choose from. Everybody listening, and we would all choose a flowing stream just for the nature of we have no idea what has been sitting in that puddle. But of the two options, the flowing stream is going to be the better option. Make a flowing stream of water on the inside of your body so that you're not growing things in stagnation inside puddles where you don't have fresh water supply inside your body. So choose the stream of water rather than the puddle, and choose that for the inside of your body. The second analogy I use all the time is the difference between a fresh steak, juicy steak, and beef jerky is you just took the water out. So a beef jerky is crumbly, cracky, not moldable, but if you had a nice steak, you could move it and bend it and turn it. So bottom line, if you don't take anything else from this, don't beef jerky your body. That's your takeaway for today.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no beef jerky bodies for sure.
Don't beef jerky your body.
Yeah. So I think it's just such a great point. And I go back to also there was that one influencer, Dr. Bradley Campbell. I think he's a chiropractor, actually. I hate to even say that. But he was doing a video on Instagram, and he was talking about this new study that came out that said that when you drink cold water causes an increase in dementia and an increase in neurocognitive decline. And so again, here's more confusion. I have been drinking cold water with ice in it. I mean, what do animals do when they go to a cold stream, going back to the stream? What did humans do when they went to a cold stream? They drank cold water. Yeah. And I'm like, I went and I looked at the study, and they injected cold water into the stomachs of the mice. So
that's not the same.
That's not the same system. So again, there's a lot of irresponsibility in reporting, and we are just talking about basic hydration. And if you're like, I can't afford X, Y, Z, well, if you're drinking sodas and Monsters and fashion drinks and juices, just put all of that aside. I don't care if it's tap water. I don't care where it comes from. Drink it. Like, that's what you need to be starting with. And then we can work on refining all those things later. That's really what it's about. And don't let people scare you out of that. So
silly Lily, I'd get brain freeze. Oh yeah, make sure you have electrolytes. So I like that too. And
which is a pinch of sea salt. It doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Right. And
just a pinch, because you can put too much sodium into your blood. So we don't want to do that. So you do want to be careful.
So Dr. Paula is an ice. She's like OCD about having a bag of ice. Like, that woman will not be anywhere without a bag of ice, which I can completely respect. I've never been around somebody that is like that necessarily, and I don't think it's a good or a bad thing. I drink just room temperature because I can get more of it down, but it's more of a sensitivity for me. But anyway, I love it because there will always be ice, always. Am I right? Did you go somewhere?
I travel with ice too.
Yeah.
So,
with coolers.
We did our girls' weekend last summer, and I buy the giant thing of ice because I'm like, I have like ice
anxiety.
Anxiety, yes, right. Insecurity, like ice insecurity.
Ice insecurity. That's so funny. No, and it's great. It's awesome. Whatever can get it in your body. So, but electrolytes, if we talk about it, so electrolytes. So I really love having actual electrolytes around me. Like, I like to have little packets, but I also do proper things with salting of my food. So I'm not like under electrolytes. But what I can tell is when I start to feel fatigue, like in the afternoon, or if I start to feel fatigue as the week goes on, if I take one packet of electrolytes and I just put it in water and chug it, my brain chemistry changes almost instantaneously. But it's basically that if we don't have the right amount of minerals in our body, which you can get from just a pinch of sea salt, like Dr. Paula said, you can get it from some electrolyte powders. They're not all created equal. Some of them are absolute garbage. One of the companies has gotten in deep, deep litigation lately because they're putting things in it and not saying it, or they're putting, I think it's actually carcinogens in it without sharing that. So they got in deep trouble, but just having the right amount of electrolytes and minerals in the body helps the body retain the water that you're drinking. The other part is that the kidneys, the kidneys are responsible for keeping our blood pressure at the right level. So they get expanded when we have more water. They put in this chemical into the system that is like a diuretic, so it makes you pee more. It takes 2 weeks to reset the kidney. So if you're severely dehydrated and you start chugging water, you're going to be, people say, I'm peeing all the time. Good. That's
so
also
supposed to happen.
Detoxing. That's also what that's called. And it's really helpful. But after about 2 weeks, your body starts to adjust, and then your skin starts to revitalize. You start to have, you guys know, if you look at somebody dehydrated, you can literally see it in their eyes, but in their skin as well. Your skin should be able to pinch and recover, like all those things. So anyway,
It's
just thinking about that as well.
And of course, I've looked at people and I'm like, that person needs water.
I know.
Like you can just see the wrinkles and the dehydration, and smokers are big ones. It's like, when they get those deep crevices in their face, they're just dehydrated to the nth degree. So, okay, anyway, smoking is a whole nother subject. So let's talk about, because I think this is a good one. We need to talk about sunlight and how healing sunlight is. And let's talk about some of the, I'm going to air quote, dangers of sunlight. So I'm just going to say that, number one, you need to know your body's skin type. So like Dr. Erica can't spend the time in the sun that I can. But because I'm darker, I need more sun exposure, because that sunlight has to go deeper into my skin layers in order to give me the proper amounts of melanin so that I can then convert to vitamin D. For somebody who's lighter skin like Dr. Erica, she spends less time and it's super intense on the surface. Like my skin is like a solar panel. So it just soaks it in. This is why like Black people don't burn. It just goes deep, deep, deep. And they need even longer. People with darker skin need longer time in the sun. But what's the problem with this? Sunscreens. You want to go out and slather yourself up all the time. And we're actually creating more detriment to our health because we're trying to block those sun's healthy rays. So you want to weigh in on that one?
Yes, especially for kids. I mean, you start these infants out in the sun. Now, nobody should really spend enough time out to get raging sunburns, right? So that we're not advocating for that. But you cannot cover infants with the sunscreen that you're doing and expect them to be able to get vitamin D to grow up to be healthy, their immune system and all of that. So what I do, because as Dr. Paula was saying, we have very different skin tone. I'm Scandinavian descent. Dr. Paula's family comes from the equator, so or very close to the equator.
The desert,
Yes.
yeah.
And so anyway, so I'll start this time. I'll start because we have like full sun today, and I'll start going out 20 to 30 minutes at a time until my skin starts to tan, because I'm actually live on the water and I don't want to use sunscreen. So I slowly and surely ease my skin and my body out into full exposure. Now, if I'm going to be out on the lake for 3 hours in the center of the day, that's a different story. But I want to be able to be out and about, wear a hat sometimes, wear covers sometimes, but for the most part, let my skin do the adaptation that it needs to do, because I'm not going to put sunscreen on all summer long. And, there's, of course, the estheticians would say something completely different where your sunscreen all over your body all the time and blah, blah, blah. Neither of us believe in that. And nor would we ever practice that. Now, if I'm going to go to, let's say, Cedar Point for the whole day, it's just a different story. You just can't slather it on regularly because it's filled with toxins, chock full of toxins. And so it's more dangerous, but we need the vitamin D. We also need to take our sunglasses off. I have these other glasses. They put a weird tinge when I'm on video. They give like that lavender tone. So I switch glasses when we come on here. But mine transition when I go outside. And it's so funny because I can see really well with them. But I come back in and they're like tinted like a purpley brown kind of tint. And then I'll look in the mirror and I always look like one of my uncles from the early 80s, like with his aviators. That's why I'm like, I'm never going to get used to being this gangster. But for the most part, I don't go out with them on. I don't drive with sunglasses on. When I go out for walks, sometimes if the sun is like blazing down, I still will try to keep my sunglasses off because the mechanism for changing the sun is a lot it's in the skin, but it's in the rods and cones and the light hitting the rods and cones in the back of the eye. So that is so, so critical. So Dr. Paula and I spend as much time without sunglasses on as well. Yeah, my eyes are sensitive, but if I just go out, and really what we all need is 20 minutes minimum per day to get proper vitamin D. And quite frankly, in Michigan, it's only when this is what I heard is the actual gauge for it is when your shadow is shorter than your body, then you're getting vitamin D from the sun. Otherwise, if your shadow's longer than your body, you're not getting much. And we really should be having vitamin D most of the year in the Midwest anyway. So,
well, and when you don't wear sunglasses and when you get that level of exposure into the eyes, that also produces melanin.
yeah.
So sun exposure in the eyes actually helps prevent sunburn.
Yeah.
So we constantly want to block the sun. We want to block our eyes. We want to block our skin. And that is just, we're blocking all of the beneficial benefits of the most major thing that we can be doing. You could say, well, I burn really easily, so I'm going to cover up every time I go out, and I'm just going to supplement with vitamin D. You can't possibly supplement with the proper vitamin D. Like D is so complex, and we always say take D3, but the conversions and just all the different ways it benefits your cells, it's very different getting it from the sun than it is getting it from a supplement. And so when we are constantly covering, we're damaging our whole circadian rhythm, we're damaging our metabolic system, we're damaging our hormonal system, the way our brain functions, our alertness, our energy, our sleep. When you get exposed to the sun, not just early morning, but throughout the day and then in the evening, there's different wavelengths throughout the day. And so if you constantly have sunglasses on, you're missing the wavelengths that are telling your brain how to time your circadian rhythm so you can be as healthy as you can be. And so get the sunglasses off. And I do agree with Dr. Erica that there's very few times I wear them if it's in fact, I get more light sensitivity if it's an overcast day and like there's like a weird reflections. But for the most part, I don't wear them in bright sun. If I'm on the water, I will kind of like put them on and off because of the reflection coming in. So you just want to be smart about it and make sure you are getting the proper exposure into your eyes as well as on your skin. And it's okay to go out and get your 30 minutes of exposure. And then I would say probably if you need to cover a hat, a long sleeve shirt, something like that, versus putting on a sunscreen. But I do have sunscreen that I use early on in the season, as well as what you do is the timing.
Yeah.
And it's mineral based. So
Yeah.
it's either zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. But again, I don't even know that I trust that for the long haul. But I try to just, again, just mineral, use it very sparingly for a very short period of time, and then, done
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah, just be really smart about it. Dr. Paula and I were downtown Detroit last Friday, just having a blast, just so much fun. It was opening day for the Tigers, and actually going to the Tigers, we didn't go to the game, but I just think about sitting in a sunny day at the Tigers game. Like, I don't know that there's something better than that, but we happened upon a 70-degree sunny day. And when you're talking about getting melanin in the eyes and how it affects the skin, it's really interesting because that day we were in and out and in and out. We weren't like out sunbathing. We were inside buildings, but I had my sunglasses with me. They were up on my head. And I got home that evening and I was like, my entire skin starts to change. Like, I didn't have a farmer's tan for my t-shirt. I didn't have a V-neck tan from that. My forehead wasn't sunburned, nothing. I didn't have anything on that day whatsoever. And all of a sudden on Saturday, I wake up and it looks like I've been on spring break somewhere. Like, I don't have anything on my skin right now, but it's like, it's just starting to create that. And I was like, that is exactly why. I'm like, I don't understand where I got this tan all of a sudden, but it was because we were out in that bright, sunny, sunshiny day, having a lot of joy, a lot of laughs, a lot of lightness, and keeping our sunglasses off all day. It was really awesome. It was a really awesome day. And that's why I'm like, oh, that's why. So all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I have this really nice tan. And it's like early April. What?
Something to be said for joy and happiness, right?
Also
that could be
free.
another free thing. Yes.
Also free.
Joy and happiness. We are walking around with so much negativity, and there's so much negativity in the world. And turn off the TV. That's free. Turn it off. Turn off your scrolling. Just get away from the negative narratives of what's happening in the world or negative people around you. Again, free. And it is so protective of your brain, your neurology, your metabolic health, your cellular health. Like, get around people who are high energy, who are super high vibe, who are happy, who are joyful, and you will feel like a whole different person.
Yeah.
I went to a speaking event last night where it was interesting. I'll tell you offline the details, but it was interesting. The concept was, it was 12 women speakers. They all had to sign up for this thing, and they spoke for 5 minutes. And then in between, we all, as the audience, had 2 minutes to then critique their talk. And besides the fact that the first 4 women got up and said, I didn't really prepare anything. And I was like, what are you doing here then? That was first. But then also the first 4 women, it was, and I get we have challenges as women, so I don't want to diminish that, but the delivery, I mean, I was so depressed within the first 20 minutes of this thing, because I was like, oh my God, like the first 4 women were just, and this, and then, and people are bullying me online, and I can, and I'm like, oh my God, you are seeking the wrong things.
Right.
You are seeing this because that is what you are seeking. Like just stop. You've got to put boundaries around your time, your mental bandwidth, the people you hang out with, the things you scroll on social media. I mean, just get off of all of it and you will be a much happier, more joyful person.
And that is also free. I was talking really similar to, so this new patient, she's like very, very tiny, and she's got some pretty scary, potentially scary diagnosis, but she's like also going down the wrong path. But I can tell that it's taking her into this protective posture, which is then making it worse, which is more protection, which is then making it worse, it's like this constant thing. And if you do that day after day after day after day after day, it's going to be exactly what you're talking about, which is these women that you're speaking of are like, your health cannot be in tip-top shape when you have that going on. I actually talked to this young gal and I said, I need you to turn on some comedy. I need you. And we talked about this since, I don't know if I always forget who this doctor is that did the laughter.
Yeah.
laughter.
What was his
I
name?
know.
The
I need
laughter
to,
guy. Why do we always forget that?
I
I
know.
can't type on my
I
I
can
can't type on
never,
my
I can
keyboard.
never remember. So anyway, he did all this research behind laughter and healing for terminal patients that he was seeing. And I just told her, I said, you have got to, and I'm going to get louder and louder and louder over the years about this. And especially as we're going into this like next iteration of my practice and life in general. And I'm like, we have got to curate properly and appropriately what is being let into our lives, and knowing that the research shows the happier, the more smiling. Actually, there was a really funny thing yesterday that it's showing that the happier and more smiles we do, the healthier we are. There was a TikTok yesterday. I think it was TikTok or Instagram, maybe a reel, and I might have sent it to you. They said if you do this, if you put this pen in your mouth like this and hold it for 3 to 4 minutes, it'll change your entire chemistry because it kind of mimics a smile. So like,
Oh, that's funny.
and if you hold it here. So I want to challenge, that might be your action, your call to action this week is like, see if you can change your entire mood by just putting a pen in your mouth, and creating a smile will change your brain. So
Yes. Turn that frown upside down.
yeah, so I just told her, I said, you have to start, if you're going to turn the TV on, turn comedy on. If you're going to watch your phone, go to YouTube for comedy. If you're going to listen to anything, go to the comedy channels. And she's young. She's, I don't know, mid 20s maybe. And I just think about this pattern, posture, and health, and multiply it out by 1 month, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, like that. And we've got to rewire and change everything about it right now. And a lot of this stuff that all this stuff we're talking about today is free.
I'm curious if that was the same girl, because this was a young girl also who was saying this last night, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And especially
I
for these young
doubt it.
people to be feeling like this. It's
I know,
like,
no, I bet it's probably someone very similar, but this one is also very, like, has gone into recluse a little bit too. I can't imagine her. But anyway,
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's running rampant through all the teenagers too, because you're doing
Right.
this, and in this
Right.
posture,
It's
this is
yeah.
like protection.
Well, okay,
Never
so
seen
let's
that.
go into posture. You can sit up straight. And what does sitting up straight do? It opens
Free.
up your heart and your lungs and your nervous system. That is free. You do not need to pay any money to sit up straight and stop looking down and stop scrolling. I mean, it just because of the fact that I have to have my phone, I have to be logged in on my phone today. This little bit of looking down, plus I had dental work done 2 days ago. My neck is already sore, but in the 30 minutes we've been sitting here and just this tiny little looking down at my phone instead of up here at my camera, like my neck is really sore just from that little bit.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine doing that all day long.
Yeah.
It's sit up straight. Sit up straight.
I have a laptop that's in my office here with me, and it sits on a stand that lifts it off my desk this high. And then it's also tilted too. So my keyboard's a little bit lower, but it's not lower like it should. But I'm also not here all day. Like I have this keyboard drawer right in front of me that I could put a keyboard in, and I could reattach this, but I don't sit here long enough to do that. But I would rather have the keyboard lifted and my eyes lifted and my posture lifted, rather than the keyboard down where that's supposed to be, mostly for our posture. There's actually the science behind it. So if you stand up like Wonder Woman and you lift your chest 2 millimeters, we've talked about this in the past, it completely rewires and changes your brain chemistry from death and dying to strength and evolution and relaxation and power and expansion, just by 2 millimeter lift of the sternum. It's so, and that is free. Yet
is free.
another
Yes.
free thing.
And if you have digestive issues and you're saying, I need to go see a doctor who can help me, sit up straight.
Yeah.
Because that forward posture, you are compressing your organs, you're compressing your heart, your lungs, all your digestive organs, your liver, your detox pathways, you're affecting your pancreas, which is your blood sugar handling. So if you have any kind of metabolic issue, if you just stood up a little bit straighter and uncompressed, whatever, I'll make up words. But if you just lifted and decompressed these very vital organs here, that is life changing. And sitting up straight is what?
Free.
It's free.
It's free. Everything's free.
It's free.
No, that's great. Silly Lily says Abbott and Costello's Who's on First is a classic and still very funny. I totally agree. It's been a long time since I've seen that one, but it's so silly. I mean, there's so much silliness out there. And then there was a study that showed standing up and walking while examining x-rays caused an increase in accuracy for diagnosis. I was actually talking to a patient of middle school. She teaches middle school math. And she was saying that, you know, they have a new state-of-the-art school, one district over in Holly, their middle school. And they have, in her math class, all the walls are covered in whiteboard now. And everybody stands up and they get together in groups, which community is free. Standing is free. Posture, lifting up our heads. But she said they have such a better time learning when they're standing and when their postures are good and they're working in community. Like, it's such a beautiful thing to think about all of those things. Again, kind of wrapping into what we're talking about today. I'm like, thank goodness this state of the art is actually brought up to also in all the ways that school isn't human friendly, that at least they have that going for them now. And I love that.
Yeah. That's
So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
You guys, we didn't even make it through half of
No.
our list, but I think we made it through some pretty good ones. So what we said, drink water. Okay. If you can't afford to be healthy, drink water, give up the soda, the monsters, all the other stuff. Sit up straight and get some sunshine.
Yep.
Like, boom, done. We just saved your life. We just saved your life. Okay.
Changed the whole world just by that.
I think we could go part 2 next week. I think we could just bump it. I think I'll just make part 2 for next week and we'll go through the second half of the section, because I think this is really important, because like I say, ultimately we would love for everybody to be under chiropractic care, but the overall goal is we would like for everybody to be healthy. Right. And if you can take the simplest of things and do the simplest of things, it is life changing. So no more excuses, because we're giving you the free stuff.
That's right.
Giving it all away.
Very good.
Okay, you guys, listen, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, on your way out. We should have asked on the way in. Make sure you are sharing this information with everybody you know, because even people who can't afford chiropractic care or who can't afford to go to practitioners for different health issues, free stuff is still free. They still need to know this information, because this is all information that we tell our patients to do when they are not here. So we adjust them. What can I do at home, doc? Get out and get some sunshine. Sit up straight. Drink your water. Move your body. And we'll talk about all the other things next week in part 2. So, all right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Bye.